two men were watching and filming her, she prepared for the worst. The last couple of days were a chain of terrible events that had taken all her power to get through. But when she saw two men watching her, the last of her strength flew the coop. Just let it be over, she thought. It was apparent that she was their target. Then one man came closer and said something that made no sense at all. When Agnes pulled up to the gas station, she already felt something terrible was about to happen. For most people, filling up their car would be a simple task, but it was a new challenge for her. She got out of the car and focused on the pump. Meanwhile, a white van pulled up right beside her, but the woman didn't mention it first. She squeezed the lever in her freezing hands. Keeping the heat off gave her better gas mileage. As she reached the $5 mark, she soothed it. But then, out of the blue, she noticed a happy couple walking near the gas station. The distraction not only made her hopeless, but it also cost her extra money. When the digits exceeded her budget, Agnes started to panic. She closed her eyes, trying to hold the tears. She couldn't just break down, not at this point. The only thing that gave her slender hope was the faint click of coins at the bottom of her bag. It was also the moment when she noticed them. Two men were sitting in the white van that was still there. One, in a dark purple hoodie, seemed to be stealing glances at her, while the other man looked over his phone in her direction. She kept a close eye on them while heading to the cash desk. It was obvious they were watching her. The register beeped with her gas sum. She could feel the people standing behind her rummaging around in her purse while she started counting the pennies on the counter. Agnes had already experienced the worst week in her life, but when they were whispering, it made her feel even worse. The woman went red when the people started revolting. "You've got to be joking, and seriously?" Luckily, the cashier waited patiently. After taking a few coins from the leave a penny box, the amount was finally covered. Agnes rushed to the exit doors and saw them right in front of her again. The two men were standing there, still watching her. Her unsteady legs couldn't move fast. The door seemed to be so far away. The only thing Agnes wanted to do was to come back home and hide under the covers. When she stepped out of the store, the men followed her. As if things couldn't get any worse, one with the camera was pointing it right at her. With the trembling arms, Agnes tried to pull out the keys and pick up the pace. Unfortunately, they were faster, stronger, and younger than her, and the distance between them was getting shorter. At that moment, part of the woman wanted to give up and simply let things happen. Bad luck and terrible events were the staples of her recent days, after all. The one in the hoodie caught up and looked right at her. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said, smiling. "Would you come with us?" Confused, she stared at him. "Don't worry," he added with a light chuckle. "Nothing bad." His words made her even more confused. Agnes didn't know what was going on. Yet she noticed herself going towards their vehicle. The man got into the van, searched for something in his bag, and jumped back out. He handed her green and white slips of paper. "They're for you," he said. That was it. At that moment, the wall that was holding back all her emotions broke down. Agnes started shedding tears while not being able to move. Her hands wouldn't take the gift. "You don't understand," she said. She lowered her head and wept.
My husband just died a week ago. We weren't like this. Oh my God, I didn't ask nobody for nothing. I didn't even ask him nothing. Oh my God. You okay?
The men realized the magnitude of the problem this woman was fighting with, and the tears formed in their eyes. One of the men embraced her with a huge hug, but there was more to come. One of the men was Carlos Davis, a comedian who had also overcome hard times in his life. But thanks to the talent and a massive stroke of luck, a famous rapper discovered him and asked him to open for him on tour. Carlos remembered how it was to feel so much pain, and he also knew one more important thing. Not everyone found the breaks in life that can simplify things. Those who are successful and wealthy have to help those in need. In his case, it was with laughter. But today, everything was different. Carlos decided to help with compassion and a bit of money. When he added another heartfelt sentiment, Agnes broke down.
You got love for you. This is you. Like that. See what I'm saying?
She felt his warm hands over her icy ones.
How did you guys,
The flood of emotions that overwhelmed her made it impossible to say something. Even though the men didn't know her tragedy, they saw something that made everything pretty clear.
Oh, he told me that you're the face for your damn penny, so I had to show love. It's only right. We got to stick together.
When she looked at the money, a small smile appeared on her face. The first weak smile she had in a week. You see, it wasn't just the death of her beloved husband that destroyed her. The funeral price had drained what little money she had left. Even though her relatives wanted her to save the money and opt for the cheapest option to put her husband to rest, she couldn't do so with the love of her life. That's why she had to pay for gas with pennies.
God bless you. How do I thank you or repay you?
You don't have to pay it forward. That's for you.
Agnes was about to lose her last hope, but these men changed everything and restored it all. They gave her hope she needed so much, and the woman held it tight as they said goodbye and went their separate ways.